on their underwear. And Finway is like, oh yeah, this is cool. Yeah, I miss my girlfriend, but this is cool. So then we see Finway feels like a third wheel. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because anytime that Ingwe and Elway are alone, they're kind of gushing. They're kind of missing each other, but they're gushing about what's going on. You know, Elway's talking about this cool place and the cool things that they saw, and Ingwe's talking about how wonderful the Valar are. And while they're both excited, they're kind of missing each other. And Finway can't get enough excitement. He can't bring himself to be that excited about what's going on. So the next thing we see maybe are the Gardens of Lorien, because let's step it up a notch from the okay. What if Finway is basically standing at the exact place where Miriel is going to be asleep after he's married somebody else? When we make the other cut back to the first cut back to Miriel and Quevenin, where she almost winds up in a relationship with somebody else. We have to really okay. So we see that. We see Lorien. Lorien is nice. Lorien is great. We cut to Miriel and Mr. Avari. So then we go to the trees. All right, the trees are the point where both Ingwe and Elway are 100% sold. This is it. This is where we need to be. We definitely need to come here. There's light. It's awesome. Light is amazing. Right? So they're both 100% sold. This is clearly this. We're doing this. The only one who's not 100% sold is Finway. So because he doesn't have the heart to really even get excited about this. Like, it's cool, it's wonderful, but he's not as excited about it as they are, and visibly, like he noticed it. He thinks he like, you can see a little excitement in his eyes, but then he kind of like, okay, yeah, it's very nice. Then we're gonna see him in Owl's shop. Can we ramp that up and make it an argument? That's good. Point, midpoint act break. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So Ingwe's point of view in this argument is the same that it's been, right? His point of view in this argument is that the Valar have created this wonderful place for us. It would be ungrateful of us. It would be ungrateful of us. It would be immoral in a sense. It would be ungrateful of us not to honor them and to join them. Elway is all about, you see the glowing trees, right? Like, you see that. Like, we're in with the trees as backdrop, right? You see the glowing trees. Like, wouldn't it be wonderful to live in a land of light instead of in a land of darkness? It's like, there's no comparison between where we live and this. And what if Finway kind of makes Miriel's argument here? That, you know, and what? We're supposed to just live underneath them? Like, because they're, you know, that's the way we're supposed to live. We live just fine without them. We're meant to be in the world. Okay. Well, maybe, okay. But what I'm saying is that we want to, whatever points that he's making have got to, I feel like, have got to be coming from Miriel. They're not necessarily his own points. And I think that what we're going to see from Finway is that every time he makes an argument, passionately though it may be, and vehemently and persuasively though it may be, it's going to be with somebody else's words. He convinced Elway with his own words back in episode 1. Now he's trying to convince these two guys with Muriel's words. Okay? And then when he gets back and he's trying to convince the Noldor to join him and to come across the Valinor, he's going to use Aulay's words. Because Aulay's going to talk about how he wants to teach them. Aulay's going to talk about all the wonderful things he wants to teach them, how to make and how to build and all that stuff. Okay, so we have that argument. Then the next day, we go to Aulay's shop. And we see Aulay actually, this is the time where Aulay's going to make this case. Aulay's going to make the case, it's going to persuade Finwë that coming to Valinor is the best option. He still doesn't want to go because he doesn't want to leave Muriel, but he gets convinced that they should. So Aulay shows him how to make something. It's not consequential what it is. But in doing so, as he's doing it, he's explaining how long he's been longing for this, how long he's been wanting to have people, and to have students, to have people he can teach. That's all he wants. And that's when Finwë really realizes that that's really all the Valar want, period. Really all they want is people that they can teach and learn from. All right, that's kind of when Finwë gets the Valar point of view and when he really understands them. At some point, Finwë has to ask, so what was that fire in the sky war thing? And someone has to explain that. Maybe Aulay's the one to explain it. And someone has to explain that and maybe show the location where Melkor is chained and underlines Finwë's doubts about the Valar's power and danger. Okay. And I think that might be this. Okay, I like that. And maybe he brings this up to Aulay. He brings up this concern to Aulay. And Aulay explains the situation to him and takes him to the halls of Mandos where Melkor is chained. So that he can understand why it's been so important. Finwë's death, but just the outside, right? Yes, I agree, because he's going to get inside, kind of in the tapestry hall later on, and maybe we can even. It would be interesting if he stops at the door, and Ingwe, well, because Ingwe's the one who's guiding him on this, and he stops him at the door and says, no. I know about this. They already told me. I get it. I understand. And Ingwe says, no, there's something else. And he brings him in to meet Byron. Maybe Byron has had kind of like a private audience with each of them. That might be the implication. I don't know. So he meets with Aulay. Aulay lays everything out on the table. Aulay's not a subtle guy. Aulay just tells him like it is, right? And we don't have to show that he's asking him to go with him. We can just have Aulay explain the situation to him, and we cut to them standing outside of the halls of Mandos. We don't need to explain how they got there. So then we cut to the scene, the they never came back scene, and Muriel's temper tantrum. So that's when we learn that even though she had some doubts about Finwë, she still hasn't forgotten him, and also that you don't mess around with her. That is a new quality about Muriel that we just made up. I hope it's okay. distance makes the heart grow fonder. Exactly. So we have that moment, and then we cut back to Finway brooding. Elway comes in and says, and talks to him for a moment, and tries to talk him into it again. And Finway is like, no, I get it. This place is fantastic. Also, she should. Yeah. And so he tells Elway. So Finway tells Elway, no, I get it. I get that this place is great. It would be wonderful if we could all move here. But my heart is in Middle Earth, and you know this. And so Elway leaves. And maybe they're preparing to go at this point. They're getting ready to leave. And and Finway is walking through the empty streets of Valinor. And Ingwe comes up to him and says, Elway told me about what you said. Now, can we have Vanna agree with Finway for an act break? You mean in the scene, the discussion, like the discussion after Muriel's conniption? Is that what we were talking about? I didn't see any of the Valar present for that conversation. Let's see. I mean, we could definitely have them there, but what is she agreeing with him on? Can we have? So it looks like at the break, he's not going to recommend that they go to Valinor. Okay, so maybe, are you talking about the discussion at the trees? Is that what you're talking about? So it ends wait to the climax turnaround. No. I get it. I'm just trying to figure out where you're talking about having this conversation where she gets involved with it. Are you talking about the conversation after he's dealt with whatever discussion happens at the end of Act 3? Okay. Okay. The point at which Finway is still not convinced that they should travel to Valinor at all. The last point that we have that taking place in is at the trees. And are you saying that Vanna speaks up in front of Finway? Because I don't see her openly, like in front of the children, challenging Manway's decision. But maybe she could say something. Maybe the Vanyar are kind of in the background hearing this conversation, and she could say something, a confirmation, this is what I was telling you about. And she says that to some of the other Valar that are nearby. I mean, there's no way Yavanna's not there the first time they see the trees. So maybe she could say it to Yavanna, who doesn't entirely disagree with her. Is that kind of what I kind of want her back on Finway? No. I'm saying that she's agreeing, that Vanna is agreeing with Finway. I just don't see her saying it in front of him, because that kind of subverts Manway's authority if she does that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of a little rebellious for her to say that in front of Finway. You know what I mean? It's a little much. Like, even if it's just in direction that is saying that he might have a valid point of view and he should be listened to, not that he's right. Okay, here's my thing. The Valar are kind of letting them make this even though they're making the invitation, they're letting them make this decision on their own. They're not influencing the decision itself. So I don't necessarily see the Valar interjecting themselves into the conversation between the three of them. I do see Vanna expressing this opinion to one of the other Valar that's near her. You know, like, because if she says it to one of the other Valar, that's not necessarily, it's disagreement with Manwë's view, but it's not subversive. If it's and I feel that we can do that. But if she says it to them, it is kind of subverting Manwë's authority in a way that I don't see her doing. So, okay. That being said, all right. So Ingwe approaches Finwë as they're walking the empty streets of Valinor. Tells him that there's somebody that he wants him to meet. He takes him to the halls of Mandos. Before they enter the halls of Mandos, you know, Finwë stops and said, No. I've already been here. Ali already told me about everything. I understand all that. And Ingwe insists, No. There's somebody here I need you to meet. And he takes him in and brings him into the presence of Byron. Do we still have those moments of Byron making the tapestry? Is that the direction we're going with? Okay, that's fine. It does make her cool. I really feel like we're gonna miss out on that really cool time lapse shot. But I mean, I guess we could still do that. I don't know. But anyway, she doesn't say anything to him, but she finishes the tapestry and hands it to him. I don't remember, and it's a picture of Finwë and Miriel living there in Valinor. Okay, rather than a picture of Miriel, it's a picture. I feel like it's got to be a picture of the two of them together, because that's what sells it. That's what sells it to him. That there's hope that they'll be able to be there and be together. Okay, and Vyra's not making the case that this is the right thing. She's just giving him hope that he doesn't have to be torn like this. Okay. It has to be a moment from the future that looks happy together, but actually isn't happy. I was actually thinking about it being the birth of Fëanor. Because is there enough time for, like, because I know that she goes under pretty much as a result of the childbirth. But if there's a moment where we can see them holding their child together, that would be optimal if we can do that. If we can do that, that would be the best thing I can think of to put on that tapestry. I mean, I don't remember the specifics enough to know this for sure, but I think that it's the moment before her spirit leaves her. Okay, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Is that, you know, like when we actually see that moment, and then seconds later she passes, and that's it. That's the last time he sees her for the next few millennia. Yeah. Well, you're making the case here that Finwë never, ever leaves the halls of Mandos. I mean, forever is a very, very long time. That's up to Mandos. That's true. But I don't know if Finwë's crimes kind of match up with perpetual imprisonment. Okay. But I think that's not necessarily the important point. She gets out when he gets in, right? Yeah. But if he's ever released at some point, then, you know, well, he's gonna have a problem because now he's got 2 wives. It's like a revolving door. Yeah. Okay. So we get that, and the next thing that we're gonna see is the elves of Quebec, and they're living completely normal lives. Everything's fine. The Dark Hunter has returned in the intervening time. Like the dark, and maybe there could be something said about that in the initial cut back to Quebec. There could be a note made of the fact that the Dark Hunter has returned, the Mori Hioba, or whatever we're going to call him, and has been taking people. But the elves are living relatively normal lives on the shores of Quebec again. And I don't know, is that just what we go with, that they're just living normal lives, and then we hear the hoofbeats, and everybody starts freaking out, and then these 3 guys who are now also glowing come out of the forest? Is that what we want to see? I feel like that if we set it up with enough music, I feel like that we can sell that. What do you think? Muriel has to run to Finway and embrace him, or vice versa. Yeah. Oh, you know what? Here's what it's got to be. Okay, so everybody's freaking out and fleeing, and then she's the one that stops and realizes that it's the 3 of them. Like nobody recognizes them. If you think about when, I don't know how familiar you are with the story of the Exodus, Moses comes down off the Mount Sinai, and his face is glowing so much that nobody can be around him, and he has got to walk around with his face covered so that he can talk to people. And that's kind of the effect that's going to happen. They're going to be freaked out because they don't recognize them. They haven't seen them in hundreds of years, and they're glowy. But Muriel stops and recognizes Finway, and she just stands there for a moment. And it's not necessarily a given, but eventually, he gets down off his horse. He takes a few steps towards her, and they wind up running into an embrace. Cut to credits. Bam. What do you think? I like it. I like it a lot. Bam. Done. In the can. Anything that you feel like we need to go back over, I think we've done. It's perfect. We did the start of the frame. Yeah. What is this? We're not. Yeah. The hosts were saying this, and I agree that we can end this without the frame and then cut back into the same situations when we open up and see in episode 3. All right, that we're going to go back into the frame. It's going to be more or less around, like more of the same. Okay. So I feel like we can end without the frame for this episode. It may be the first time we've done it. I'm not entirely certain. But I think one of the things that we've been trying to kind of tell the audience a few times. So it's Galadriel, gift giving, set up a festival, Ivor raising gifts, job's done. Yep. And Galadriel pulling her aside to explain why it's weird. Why what she gave her is weird. And not wrong, not bad, not wrong. You didn't do anything wrong. But they don't understand. And this is why. What do we think? Good. I also generally hate ending on the frame. The denouement should generally be the main story, in my opinion. In season 1, considering how much story we were trying to tell through the frame, it was a little bit more critical. I do think that it's not going to be as necessary going forward in season 2. But it is a frame, so it's kind of part of the, you know, in some episodes you're going to kind of have to go back into the frame. Bookends for season 9 episodes, I don't know. Sometimes you're going to have to go back into the frame to contextualize what this is all about, and kind of to, you know, go through what we've learned today. But yes, we're good. All right, awesome. This has been the SilmFilm script discussion, season 2, episode 2. Feel free to like and share the videos. If you haven't yet, feel free to subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. And yeah, check us out. There's tons of links in the description, and we'll see you next time, 2 weeks from now.